Hello and welcome to your Monday night Red Button content. This is probably the point when Paul says something sweary. Paul?
Fuck.
Mark?
Suwon.
So I guess it's ACL tonight, guys. So being a follower of the K-League Challenge
and having no team in the ACL.
And having no team in the ACL or giving a shit either way about what really happens in the ACL.
I'm just curious, if Elan were to go on and win the FA Cup this year, would they get in the ACL next year? Because in England they've done away with that this year, right? Obviously it was FA Cup semi-final week in England this week, and they were saying that if a team were to lose in the FA Cup final against a team that's already qualified for the Champions League, the place will default to the team that finished 5th or 6th in the league.
I mean, if they got to the FA Cup final and they lost it?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
So traditionally that team's still gone through to
You did see that Eland have drawn Ulsan away in the next round of the FA Cup. So I think we can put that one in the back boiler for one more season.
But I think if they got the final and won it, then yes, it'd be in the ACL. If they got the final and lost it, then no, they wouldn't be in the ACL.
Okay.
Although I don't know if the ACL have got some rule about how many seats you need to have in your stadium. Whether they would actually, they might not be able to
seats as well.
Whether they might not be able to host the game at their temporary seating, but I think that's getting ahead of ourselves. What about the games that are actually coming up in the next day or two? Let's go. So who's first? Is it Chonbuk?
This week Chonbuk are playing on Wednesday, so they're actually first up would be Seoul versus Evergrande. That game is tomorrow night.
Paul, do you feel comfortable enough talking about Seoul without shouting and swearing?
Yeah, why not? I'll give it a go. Fucking useless twats.
So this is the home match then against Evergrande, yes?
Yeah, so the away match was the first round of the group stage of the Champions League.
And you won that 5-0, didn't you?
They lost it.
They lost it 1-0.
No.
Again, it was a game they probably shouldn't have lost. They could quite easily have drawn. And Guangzhou, I think, are a lot weaker this year than they've been in previous years. Obviously, they changed their manager. They've sent Lippi upstairs to be sort of some director of football type. And they've got Cannavaro actually doing the day-to-day training, coaching, whatever. And they've lost a couple of games in the Chinese league. They've lost in the Champions League once or twice already. I don't think they're the strong power that they were, even though they've still got the high-paid superstars. A lot of the Seoul fans have been kind of, obviously they'd like Seoul to win, so they're still in with a chance of qualifying from the Champions League. But if they lose, they hope they get humiliated, so they'll be one step closer to getting Trey out.
So the question then is, are Guangzhou better or worse than Suwon? And if they're better, how many goals better?
Yeah.
I think the worst result for Seoul would be something like a 1-0 loss.
Or a 1-0 win, if it means Che gets another season.
I mean, a 1-0 win's tolerable because it means they just have to go to Japan for the next round and get a result there to qualify. But a 1-0 loss is probably not severe enough to get Trey fired, but it also completely screws up our Champions League hopes for the rest of the season. So
yeah. So in terms of your league position, then, you need to win the 2 remaining games to qualify.
So they're second. So all they need to do is match what Western Sydney Wanderers do in their 2 remaining games, and they should come out on top.
Okay.
Actually, if they beat Guangzhou tomorrow and then Guangzhou lose their remaining tie against Sydney at home, then Guangzhou could actually theoretically drop out.
They could technically, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kashima's result against Guangzhou last time effectively threw open the group to some degree.
Yeah.
Which means that any of all 4 teams could still qualify. So I guess this will be a make or break round for some teams, and we shall see.
So your last game then is away in Japan.
Away in Japan, yeah.
Yeah.
On Children's Day.
And we've already talked several times about Seoul's relatively poor record in Japan, so theoretically if they want to qualify they really need to win tomorrow.
Yeah, I think they have to.
And then they can probably go to Japan and
get a draw.
Hopefully get a draw and qualify.
I think so. I think if they have any chance of getting through, they have to beat Guangzhou tomorrow.
Yeah.
I think that's a gimme, definitely.
And do you think they will?
No. I think it'll be a 1 each, probably at the best.
Will it be another case of Che parking the bus and hoping to sneak something? He doesn't really know many other tactics.
I'm not even sure Che knows where the bus keys are. Never mind, he can actually park it.
He'll turn up with a transit van, slightly smaller than the goals.
With Trotter independent training on the side.
I'm not Che's biggest fan right now. The other Tuesday game sees Suwon go to Japan against Urawa. Urawa got their first points last week when they drew against Beijing. Urawa have been a poor lot. Suwon,
yeah, I mean,
obviously have been good.
But I'm trying to remember back to the first game when it was Suwon versus Urawa.
They scored first, yeah.
Yeah, they scored first, and it wasn't easy for Suwon. It gave them a tough game. It didn't look as if Suwon were going to win it right until the death. So it's certainly not a gimme that Suwon are going to go there and take anything.
But with their recent form and everything else that they've been doing since then, 6 goals against Brisbane. Obviously we talked about the weekend game against Seoul.
How many goals was it they scored again?
Just less than they scored against Brisbane. Over 2 games.
Over 2 games, yes.
Unfortunately. But I only saw 3. But as we've discussed several times. But you'd have to imagine Suwon will probably get a draw in Japan, at least, if not better. And will probably, at that point in time, put himself as the first Korean team through. Yeah. Well, Beijing are sitting on 10 points. Urawa are on 1. Brisbane are on 4. So you'd have to imagine if Suwon win, even if Brisbane beat Beijing, I guess it throws the group open. But I think you would probably imagine that a Songnam victory would be enough to see them through. That's Tuesday's game.
Okay, so Tuesday's games then. Our expert prediction is a Seoul
draw at best.
Seoul draw, 0-0.
At best.
And a Suwon draw.
And a Suwon draw, probably a scoring draw.
Yeah.
1-1, 2-2.
If you look at it in terms of personnel, Guangzhou have a far stronger team with the millions of dollars they're throwing at their foreign stars as opposed to the presumably.
But they haven't really exactly done that well, have they? Really? I mean, like Allen, 30 million, the other guy, like 25 million euros. I thought they've done a lot better in the ACL, but they've kind of just been winning, I think. Yeah.
Okay, so good stuff. Wednesday then.
Wednesday sees Songnam take on Buriram.
The big revenge match.
The big revenge match after losing 2-1 in Thailand. Songnam are on a 3-game unbeaten run, I think, right now. But also they've had like 2-0 each draws in amongst that as well.
But surely they're not going to lose again, are they?
I don't think they'll lose, but I have a really horrible feeling they'll just draw 0 each again. I'll probably be at that one. Should be at that one. I think they're in a situation now where they have to really win that one. Like the Guangzhou game, the Guangzhou RNF game, they could have drawn. Without it really affecting their chances of getting through too much. Yeah. And they did. They probably should have won it in the last 10 minutes. But against Buriram, you get the feeling that with the other 2 teams also on 4 points. So it's the Buriram on 7, Songnam on 7, then Guangzhou and Gamba both on 4. It's like if Songnam were to draw that Buriram game, and one of their teams won, you'd have them. They'd be going to Japan, having to win in Japan.
Yeah.
So I think they need to win that game.
They should have it in them. I mean, there's enough quality there that you think they should be capable of beating Buriram at home. But the Buriram have been, I guess, a bit of a surprise package, so you never know. But well, let's hope so anyway. It'd be nice to see Songnam go through at the next stages.
I mean, they lost 3-1 to Suwon at home, and since then they haven't had a goal scored against them. But they haven't lost a goal since that Suwon game. They haven't been scoring much either. But then, a 1-0 victory against Buriram's enough, yeah? I do disagree with your idea of the surprise package thing, but anyway, let's I think we've had this out on Facebook several times as well, so we can move on from that one.
Buriram did get through to the quarterfinals last year, right?
So and they have been improving kind of game on game, but anyway, year on year.
They're a bit like the Guangzhou of Thailand, aren't they? They've got a lot of money.
Yeah, their head is above anyone else in Thailand, so it's not really I'm actually more surprised that they're only sitting on 7 points right now after winning their first 2 games. And then surprisingly, their next 2 games have been pretty poor.
Lost at home last time out, right?
Yeah.
So
but I think Songnam will have too much for them. I hope Songnam have too much for them anyway.
Remember, it's not all about the money. Inverness Cali showed at the weekend there. It's not all about the money.
Inverness Cali showed it's about the money by putting money in Steve McLean's back pocket to allow me to chop off a perfectly good penalty. Yeah. Moving on.
Not that you're bitter about that, Mark, in any way.
What can I say?
Right. So the last game then is John Book, and surely this week they're going to qualify, aren't they?
Like I predicted last week they would put, or 2 weeks ago, last round, they would put 11 goals by Bindal. They put one by them and drew one out.
So what's your amazing prediction for this week?
My prediction this week is that they'll draw probably in Japan. I mean, I watched the game at home. I watched it on TV.
Singaporean and Macauian listeners, put your money on a loss.
The good news is we've got our betting correspondent with us over here in the corner, so we'll get him over for the official tips of the day. So John Book we think should win it.
Yeah, they came in the first game at home. They balled it back in it twice. Both are chopped off for offside pretty tightly as well. They could have had a penalty. Second half they were poor. So, I mean, that will happen in the first 15 minutes. So I think they'll have too much for the Japanese guys, and I think they'll win this 1-1 now.
Okay, so the official lines from us is...
Did you not say just now that they're going to draw? I'm sure you did.
No, I didn't.
Did you not?
No, he didn't.
I didn't. I just said they're going to win 1-0. I think, as you said, yeah.
Like before that, like way back.
I think I was Songnam.
Yeah, it was.
No, it wasn't. It was chocolate. You said they're going to draw away in Japan. You predicted they were going to win like 11-0 in Vietnam, and they only drew 1-0. So this time you said they're going to draw. So I said, well, in that case, put your money on a loss then.
Yeah, but that was my prediction. Doesn't mean that's not what I think.
What? What the fuck does that mean?
Okay, so the official predictions then for us is in the 4 games. So we're going for a sole draw.
Sole draw.
Sole loss.
Sole loss from Paul.
Yeah,
we're going for a Suwon draw.
Suwon draw, I think.
Suwon draw.
We're going for a Songnam
Draw.
win.
I think a Songnam victory, 1-0.
Draw. And
I've talked myself into a John Book victory.
A John Book victory.
I'm going to stick with his original prediction of a draw.
All right. So there'll either be a win or a draw or a loss in all 4 games.
Yes.
Get your money on that right
somewhere
now.
Between 0 and 12 points for the 4 Korean teams.
Yep. And we'll come back next week and tell you how badly we did again at predicting. So for those of you in Singapore, I'd just put the second house on this one today.
Yeah.
Okay. So are we going to put a bit of music on the end of this then, Paul? Are you going to find something spectacular for us?
Spectacular, yeah.
Okay. So coming up there'll be something spectacular
From Paul. Which will be the first time in the podcast has been something spectacular from Paul.
All right. Good night and see you next week.
Spectacular! Spectacular! No words of a vernacular can describe this great event. You'll be dumb with wonderment. Returns are fixed at 10%. You must agree that's excellent.
So exciting, the audience will stop and cheer. So delighting, it will run for 50 years. So exciting, the audience will stop and cheer. So delighting, it will run for 50 years. Spectacular, spectacular, no words in the vernacular can describe this great event. You'll be done with wonderment. So exciting, the audience will stop and cheer. So delighting, it will run for 50 years. So exciting, the audience will stop and cheer. So delighting, it will run for 50 years.